Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Avengers Damage Control Void VR review. My name's Dennis and I'm with...
What's up, guys? It's your boy Dorian here.
And we got to go last week to check out the Void VR. For people who don't know, we're very big on VR here at Collider Games. And we got to check out this experience. And now this experience is not like the typical stuff that you buy a system at home and download a game and you play a whole game. This is, it's not really a game, right? It's more of
It's like a 4D VR virtual experience, like movie. You're like you feel like you're in a movie. I don't know how to. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like you're in virtual reality. You have like the 4D experience of like you feel the wind, you feel all these different elements on you, and on top of that, you're standing alongside these Marvel heroes. So it's like you're inside of the MCU while you're still like in virtual reality. So it's a culmination of a bunch of things put together. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's almost like going to like a mini theme park, right?
Yeah.
The way
Don't let Martin Scorsese hear that.
Yeah, if people aren't familiar with the Void VR and these type of VR experiences, they differ from what you do at home because you go to an actual location. There's like a bunch of Void VRs across the nation, and they have a setup where you physically put on like a backpack,
got a helmet,
and the backpack or vest, I guess should say, gives you like feedback, haptic feedback. Like if you got hit by something,
shot, you like feel it on. And this one was cool too because have you done the Wreck-It Ralph one?
I did the Wreck-It Ralph and the Star Wars one.
I haven't done the Star Wars one, but I did the Wreck-It Ralph one. It felt like with those, like you had like shock impulses, but this one it didn't feel as like as heavy on you when you got hit. So I appreciated that, but it did feel like a little bit similar when you got hit in terms of like body reaction and stuff like that. But this completely blew my expectations. Like the Wreck-It Ralph VR, like when I came out of that, I was like, this is dope. This is one of the coolest VR experiences ever. And I got to try the Iron Man PSVR, which is pretty cool. But once I tried this, I was like, I never want to. I wish this was. I hope it wasn't a limited run because I think they're only doing it for a certain amount of time. I wish they would keep this going forever.
I don't know. I don't know why they would keep this on a limited time.
Like
because
this, I could see this being like everybody would want to do this. I wish there were more Void locations. I think they're still trying to expand out and become bigger and bigger. But for right now, I think this is like their game changer for VR.
Yeah, it's a limitation because this actually you walk in a physical space, right?
Yeah.
You're not in. I mean, yes, it is a virtual world, but you actually walk in a physical space where they design where the walls will be, where chairs will be, even a steering wheel, things on the wall, all that stuff. So they have these places, and so you have to go there. It's almost like going to a movie, right? Like they have like set times, and you like reserve your seat, but it's really 4 at a time, and it's I don't know, the whole experience. It was awesome because I also had done the Wreck-It Ralph. That was the first one I did, right? And then I played the Star Wars one. Now, I think as an experience, the Wreck-It Ralph one was more developed and had more things to do. But because I'm more of a Star Wars fan than a Wreck-It Ralph fan, I enjoyed the Star Wars one because you got to experience and feel like you're in that world. This one, the Avengers Damage Control, takes it to a whole nother level.
Like a whole nother level. I like didn't have like many expectations going in. I knew like they always produce great content whenever they were trying to do a new Void experience, but this completely surpassed my expectations. And for those, should we like break down I think we can tell what the plot is like without.
Yeah, like the beginnings of the plot. We won't spoil any details, but like why don't you tell?
So this basically takes place after Avengers Endgame. No, like it's not a spoiler or anything. And the Shuri Letitia Wright, she comes up with this new technology where you're combining Stark technology with Wakandan technology. So you got the nanobites and you have the vibranium mixed into one, create a super suit, which I think is genius. And so she's recruiting a new team. And if you remember at the end of Black Panther, her mission is to set up like outreach posts from across the globe to where more people can have like this technology without it necessarily getting into the wrong hands. So our mission, like she basically is looking for a new team to make sure like things aren't going away or going astray. And so so she sends us, and you're the team, and then it's you and 2 or 4 people total, and you guys you get your own super suit. And I don't want to get too heavy into the spoilers or the story details, but you do get to play next to Ant-Man and the Wasp, like you see in the trailer. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly reprise their roles as the voice actors. Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch is in there. You can play next to alongside him, and there are other few characters in there I won't want to touch into yet, but you get to play alongside all those characters, and the big mission is you're fighting Ultron basically. And so without spoiling anything, it gets intense, and the battles are amazing. And so what they kind of set up for you, like at the beginning, you get a little bit of a tutorial. So if you hold your hand out, you're shooting a blast. But what's cool about it is, like how we were talking about earlier, like with the haptic feedback, if you don't want to get the haptic feedback, you have to put your arms up, which creates a shield, and then that way it takes on how Black Panther takes in when he gets hit a bunch of times, the kinetic energy or whatever, and then you can bounce that back out and shoot a bunch of missiles. So it's very detailed when it comes to that type of stuff, and I thought that was cool, because we were getting hit, you got to put the blasters up, put the shields up. And then it's also cool because when you do have the shields up, you can take a quick second to kind of appreciate just looking around, you're in the shield, but you can look around and damn, we're really we're not really in it, but we're in this MCU world, and it's pretty cool.
As far as the controls, you're talking about the hand. So, in Wreck-It Ralph and the Star Wars experience one, Secrets of the Empire, you have a gun, right? You have a gun, and the whole time you're doing gun. In this one, they don't. They use the hand tracking, which they had to improve the technology for. We interviewed Koi, Yumi, and interviewed some of the developers. And talked about the technology in terms of the hand tracking. So you're not picking up anything. It's all with your hands and walking around. But what blew me away is that at the end of the Star Wars one, right? It kind of builds up, and then at the very end, you kind of have this really cool moment, right? With the Avengers one, it was cool moments throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't okay, we're building up to one big cool thing. This was the whole, right from the start, right? You get thrown in right immediately in there, and it wasn't I don't know. It didn't feel like we were in some sort of B-C level mission with B-C level characters,
people we've never even seen before. But we were fighting next alongside the A-class Avengers, the ones you see in the MCU. This is the first, the high class level.
And
Avengers.
It made you feel like your mission was actually important.
Yeah,
right?
dude. They really I felt I let my imagination go wild, and I genuinely felt like I was part of the crew. And like you said, it made you we felt important in the mission. It wasn't just let's just stand back and let whoever, let's let Ant-Man and Wasp go kick ass. No, we were the main ones taking part in the action. So I'm glad they made it that way instead of the vice versa, where we're just standing, not doing more doing more watching rather than actually fighting. So I'm glad they really went in on that.
Yeah, and it's getting to play a mini movie, a short film. Imagine if the MCU decided to make a short film on the side that was filled with a ton of action, and instead of watching it, you got to be in it. That's what it was.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head with the Wreck-It Ralph one. Yeah, there were a couple cool moments. No, the end or whatever without spoiling anything. But this one, and I think it has that familiarity because we've been built up in Avengers Endgame just passed recently. So there were moments in there when we were walking through. It's just Easter eggs and different things like that, and you're oh man, this is dope. We're really inside of the universe that has been built up for so long, and so to finally feel like we're a part of it without not necessarily being there in real life, it felt like you there was already a special connection to these movies anyway. So to be in it actually is just something even more magical, I guess.
Yeah, and also being able to do it with other people as well, where it's this kind of communal experience, and you're gonna play it. I think even if you're big into VR, maybe you're I got VR at home. It's no, this is different because yes, it is virtual reality, but because you get to walk in this design space, and it has, you mentioned before, wind and all these other tactile things to make it even more realistic. Also, there's voice chat, so we can all talk to each other as we're working together towards this one goal. I would say, if you are an MCU fan of any kind, you should definitely play this. Find a nearby Void VR location. It's about. It's I think over 15 minutes.
I would say so, around there.
I felt like it was longer than the Wreck-It Ralph and the Star Wars experience.
I didn't do the Star Wars one, but yeah, it was definitely longer than the Wreck-It Ralph one.
Yeah, I felt like, and what I liked about it too is, and this is not a total spoiler or anything like this, but in the Star Wars one, you go to one location, you're kind of there, right? In this one, you get to hop between different places, so you get a different feel every time you go to a different place. And I don't know, it just kept things like moving along. Your eyes were just like, try to get everything, download everything that you're seeing, but it was like hard. So it's like, I definitely have to go back. One, it was a great experience, and two, I want to see everything.
Yeah, and the developers, when we interviewed them, they said, yeah, you're definitely going to want to try to do this multiple times because they felt they layered a bunch of Easter eggs in there, like, because you could be busy battling bots or something, you look around and you're like, oh, there's an Easter egg, I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, it's just like you want to try to look around, but also at the same time, you're still trying to kick ass, so it's like that, trying to find that balance, so doing it multiple times would be the best bet, but overall, it's just like, I was genuinely impressed with this. And it was cool, too. Like, we knew nothing was going to happen, but how they had things set up, like, when you were walking and stuff like that, you felt like,
yes,
bro, I feel like I'm about to fall. Like, there were multiple times where it felt like we were genuinely on top of a skyscraper or something. Like, I don't want to even take the next step because I feel like I'm going to fall, but they will make sure nothing happens to you. And if you get too close to a wall or something, they'll make sure to grab you and keep you along and keep you moving. So everything stays safe, but you just feel in that moment where everything's going fast, you're like, bro, I don't want to step out. I feel like I'm about to fall. Yeah,
and not only that, you visually, before you go in there, you know how big this space is, right? And it's not a huge space. But when you play the game, the way they design it, they make it feel very big,
Hell
right?
Yeah.
They make you feel like you're going tons of different places.
Yeah, without spoiling anything again, there's a time where you're like walking around you're walking around a staircase, and even though you know in your mind you're just walking in a circle, the way they design it and the way the VR feels like, it genuinely feels like you're going down the stairs, and it feels like you're actually making moves, and you're scared to bump into stuff, but in actual reality, you're just walking in probably in a circle, but it still feels cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I can't recommend it enough. Yeah. Look, I mean, you're not going here for some sort of deep story, character development or anything like that. That's for movies and televisions and whatnot, and even video games. This is an experience. It's like I said, more akin to a theme park, right? This is something you would think that people would wait in line at Disneyland for, like, 3 hours to do this.
Yeah, but I will say, like, I don't know if it's canon or not. They did say it takes place after Avengers Endgame.
I think it might be, because they when we did the interview, they made it a point that they had to, like, consult with Marvel, and they had to, and like what was going to happen in Endgame and how is that going to affect this, and so I think it is canon.
Because I really did enjoy having the Wakandan vibranium and the Tony Stark technology merged into one. So if they utilize that in the future movie, I think that's brilliant, because it makes perfect sense. And of course, Shuri to be the one to invent it. So like you said, I can't recommend this enough. This is definitely the coolest VR experience I've ever done, and it just makes me, like, in a way, just makes me more excited. I know the Iron Man VR one is not going to be anything like that, but just being thrown back into feeling like you're an Avenger, feeling like you're a hero again, I can't wait to do it again. So I'm pretty excited for the future of Marvel and IMX Labs collaboration, because I hope they do more of this stuff.
Yeah, hats off to IMX Lab, who also did the Star Wars Secret of the Empire's Void VR experience, but they also did the Vader Immortal game, which is on the Oculus Quest.
Oh, I love that game. I need to play. I need to get on Chapter 2.
Yeah, we got Chapter 2 now, so you can play that. So they seem to have the experience thing down, right? This kind of cinematic, immersed in existing worlds thing. And so, obviously with the Void VR, there's more technology involved, so they can do more things, but at the same time, it's probably a lot more resource intensive. But it is a shorter experience. But then, hats off to them, hats off to Void VR. So definitely recommend it. Dorian, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Dorian Parks and Rec, and you can find me on Instagram at Dorian Parks, and you can find me here at Collider Games for more content coming soon.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, Instagram Dennis.tzng, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Collider Games. Subscribe to our podcast feed, Collider Factory feed, for our weekly Collider Games podcast. Until next time, see you guys later.